Today I'm going to take you through a engine swap. This is a 1968 Allis Chalmers B-110. It may not look like your standard B-110 that you guys might see. It's just freshly restored with some modifications. But I have been running it about a month, and just as it always goes, and in a particular engine I was looking for this tractor come available, so I purchased it. It's here on the bench, rebuilt, ready to go. It is a Briggs and Stratton cast iron L-head 3200 series, making a 16 horse, and it is a direct bolt in to the I believe it's a 24 series 10 horse cast iron Briggs L-head. So I'm just going to walk you through the process of changing this motor. So I'm not going to record every single step and nut and bolt and so on and so forth. I'm going to have to remove the hood, side panels. This front pulley will need to be removed with a puller in order to take off this grill assembly, which is 2 bolts, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And when I get that stripped off, you'll see it'll be a little bit different than your normal B-110 because I have gauges laid up here in the dash. So I have some wiring to remove and hook the battery, but what I'll show you once all that's with the sheet metal stripped off of it. Pulled the front shiv pulley off the front of the motor, pulled the grill assembly, which is a pretty basic piece sitting over there. Unhooked the battery. The lights are left wired in. I just laid them up on top. We can pull all that stuff back. What we'll need to do next is remove the exhaust, fuel lines, which I'll disconnect from here. I have an inline shut off, already shut off, so I'll shut the fuel off. Unhook from here. I am going to reuse this bracket on the new motor, so we'll remove the generator and the belt, and then we'll get into that, which is not typical of a Allis Chalmers B-110. I made that specifically to get rid of the flex discs that they have in there, put the Lovejoy couplings. So you'll see when I get it pulled out that I'll have to swap this output motor adapter onto the new motor. So now we have the generator stripped off. I've unbolted this top bracket because I'm going to reuse it. My son actually came out and gave me a hand. He pulled these motor bolts down here. There's 4 of them. This one down in here is not much fun. You need a fairly long wrench. And come down through here. The head of the bolt, you probably can't see it. Just above that bracket is the bolt, and then undo it from underneath. It's not much fun. It's pretty tight to slide these out, but pop these little brackets off and pull it out. That's pretty stripped down. That was probably about 45 minutes tops. Half an hour, 45 minutes. It's pretty. You got the motor lifted out. Keep in mind you have to unhook the ground cable off of the coil. I forgot to. I was half lifting it out, and it's okay. It just unplugged itself. I forgot. Thought I'd mention it. So this is a 10 horse, like I mentioned, 16, virtually identical. This is an original 1968, so it has points, which I've eliminated with a Megatron. But this is a 92, so it already has a electronic ignition. So this is a basic swap out. Easy upgrade for a Allis Chalmers B-110 to a 16 horse, which the 10 horse does just fine most of the time. I find with a snowblower sometimes it just needs a little bit more power. But there you go. Just I couldn't find any info on the 16 horse swap for these tractors. Any research I had done had said it's pretty straightforward. Some guys mentioned cutting some cowlings and stuff like that. I'm not sure about that entirely, but It looks like this is a direct 10 horse, 16 horse, virtually identical. Heights are the same, widths are the same. So here, the motor's back in. Boy's just putting in the motor base bolts here. I have run into the first snag, which I knew was different than the original, but now I see what it creates. This carburetor tube is, I believe what they reference to a long neck, and the one on the over there is short. See how short it is there, right up there on the top? So, what that does, this is my choke cable coming down, which runs into the choke plate there, you can see. So where this is supposed to bolt is up there. But if I pull it up to put it in, it closes the choke. So my choke cable is too short. For now, I'm going to look into it a little bit more. For now, I'm just going to leave it like this, put the side cover on where I can see it as I move the cable up and down. You can see it changes the choke angle. That's fully closed there. So I'll put the side panel on like that, and I'll research a longer choke cable. But everything else so far is the same. The throttle cable's the same. Mounting's the same for that. So everything looks good so far. Everything bolted up fine there. Gas line's hooked up. The old carburetor had a 90 degree on here, but it was plastic, so I decided to just do the bend here to get rid of the plastic fitting here and go with a straight. I'll probably try to find a steel 90 fitting to bring that in later, but for today this is going to work fine. 10 horse, it's 1.1 output shaft, as you can see there. On the 10 horse, it is 1 inch. Don't worry about that number, it's 1 inch, and my caliper's out of 0, I believe. Yep. It's 1 inch, so I will have to get the two choices. Either you could buy a new pulley or machine this one. If you don't have a lathe available to you, you probably take it to your local machine shop. They could do it and broach a new key into it. These are nice heavy duty cast pulleys. I will keep this one. I'll machine it to the bigger size of the 16 horse, but just something to keep in mind as you're doing your swap. So here it is all installed. The Briggs & Stratton 16 horse into a Allis Chalmers B-110 chassis. Like I said, I couldn't find any information about it before I ventured into it. I was looking online. There's really not too much, so I thought I'd create this to show you that a 16 horse Briggs flathead fits directly in where the 10 horse was. Essentially the same block, some variations in the carb height. I had to change the choke cable because of the height of the carb being, or the, well, it's longer, not necessarily the height. Change the choke a little bit, but there it is, all installed. Mind my little bit of messy wiring I still got to clean up here, but it's fully operational. It's been in about 6 weeks now probably, and purrs like a kitten. Works well. Cheers.